Hi, everyone. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today's December 10th, 10:48 p.m. Just about to go to bed, but I figured I'd make a quick video, talk about some of my opining of the last 48 hours. I did an AIAR this morning, and it's a good time. We're making great progress, and all things considered overall, this is exactly what I was hoping for a launch with Cardano. You have an asset that comes, it brings a lot of interest, it brings a lot of excitement. It's something new, it's something different, it's something for the industry as a whole to coalesce around. And already, hang on a second, I just got to go ahead and ban this bot. Already, there's a tale of two cities that exist. So, depending upon who you ask, they say, wow, within 48 hours, an asset was launched on Cardano that had a higher market cap and more trading volume than Algorand as an asset on Cardano. That's really remarkable that Cardano as an ecosystem that a lot of people in the industry say is dead, its best days are behind it, it's falling apart, is capable of launching an asset at that scale, creating this kind of hype and excitement, and getting people legitimately fired up, excited about the future and where things are going to go. And then on the other side, there's all of these people where they just have this pathological addiction to bad faith. Where's the DEX liquidity? Oh, where did this happen? Where'd this happen? Where'd this happen? Every step of the way, when they were proven wrong or they realized that things were being done in stages, they just move on to the next thing to complain about. And it's gotten so pathological, it seems like they're utterly of accepting a win, feeling joy, or advancing at all. They move from one crisis to another crisis to another crisis to another crisis, one bad faith interpretation to another bad faith interpretation. And honestly speaking, it's not only beyond psychologically exhausting, it makes your heart hurt. Because you imagine that this is not a neurosis that just strictly must be confined to the internet. It must leak into every dimension of their life. They must be standing in line at Starbucks and think to themselves, when I order this drink, they're going to get it wrong. I'm going to order it with the whipped cream, and I'm going to say it's lactose free because I'm lactose intolerant, and they're going to get lactose in that. And then they move on to the next thing. When I park here, even though I've paid the meter, they're still going to give me a ticket. And then the next thing, and then the next thing. And it's driving everybody insane. We had two ways to interpret today. And I chose the former. I said, wow, it's amazing that we were able to get a win in a year like this. It's been a real hard year, and everybody worked so long to make this day happen and to bring us to where we're at. And a lot of people joined that interpretation. And a lot of people decided that they wanted that win and they felt it. And it was a really great experience. But then you go to this Twitter thing and it's just causing this mass neurosis. And it's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's exacerbating. And people just move on from one thing. I'm old enough to remember the ADA voucher scandal, then the fake Fred stuff, and then the soft fork, and all this other stuff. One thing after another. And then every comment gets twisted, manipulated. And, we just got to start opting out as a society. And I have to start with myself. And I thought about, okay, what can we do differently next year? Because on one hand, my way of communicating with everybody and engaging with everybody is predominantly on X. And there's 1 million people there. And you guys love me. And it's so much fun. And I really do enjoy it. On the other hand, it's like every time you want to see your friends, you have to go put a suit on and swim through a river of shit. Okay? And it's got shit hippos in it. And the shit hippos are trying to eat you while you're swimming through this river of shit. And you people say, well, just ignore all of it. It's hard to just ignore all of it when 50, 60, 70, 80 comments are all negative or all this way or all bad faith. And it's just one after another every single day, consistently and bombarded. Because the problem is, if I ignore all of it, I also ignore the good comments. So either I have to read them all to see which ones are real and good, or I read none of them. And if I read none of them, I'm not engaging with you. So then I have to pay people to read it. And that's almost like when Facebook pays its moderators, and they have to go and decide what content to censor, what's not. And they spend half their time watching like animals being murdered in child porn. And they get all psychologically fucked up for $15 an hour as they're moderating things and just messed up about how bad humanity can be. So I guess I can outsource it to them, you know? And that's where we're at. You know, I like my friends. I like hanging out with them. I really enjoy engaging. On the other hand, I'm exhausted and swimming in the river of shit with the shit hippos. It's so out there. You know, I'm really tired of people saying I'm obese and overweight. Yeah, I kind of have the courage to take my shirt off on the internet. Do you? And I'm really tired of people just saying I'm all these horrible things every single day. It's nothing but a river of shit with hippos. And at some point, you just got to say enough is enough. It's torture. So I got to do something different, but I can't lose the engagement, because that's value to the ecosystem, it's value to my company, and it's value to all of you. So here's what we're going to do, since there's no meaningful way to surf that river safely. Starting next year, I'm going to create a digital twin of myself, and I'm going to partially turn over my Twitter to that digital twin. And I'm going to work with some of our AI people, and this we're going to call it Project Simulacra. And it's going to mostly run and moderate my X account. And I'm going to try as hard as I can to extract as much value as I can, and all the love and well wishes and meaningful, productive conversation from it to another channel that has some more curation, that doesn't have the shit hippos. And then I'm going to spend a lot of time in targeted discussions. So I'm going to be in the Midnight Discord extensively, first starting with the Midnight Ambassadors, and then I'm going to do regular events in the Midnight Discord. And then in that Discord, I'm going to really enjoy being able to engage with people one-on-one. Because what I notice is that in person or talking to people over audio, for the most part, people are respectful and engaged. Even if they disagree with you, they at least want to have a dialogue and conversation. Now, there are certain people that are still assholes, and you see them from time to time, but typically the rest of people actually shout them out when they come on in, because they realize how rude a person's being. This is not the case on Twitter. If you punch back, I get attacked, and I said I'm a bad actor for attacking, and that becomes the story. So we're going to do that. We're going to create that digital simulacra. I'm going to gradually migrate most of my comms off, and then I'm going to find paths to kind of link the conversation from Twitter into different channels, and then hopefully we can get better moderated channels. It's sad, because I really do enjoy Twitter. It's great to get news from it. It's awesome, but there's different ways to do that, and I think it's just going to be psychologically a lot healthier. And to everyone else on Twitter, I'd encourage you to find a way to do the same. Really awesome, and to do it, you know, because it's not healthy. This is doing something to humanity. And I don't think psychiatrists and psychologists fully understand it, but it's giving everybody a license to treat each other in a way that if they did it in person to somebody, they'd honestly get the shit kicked out of them. Honestly speaking, would you walk up to somebody at a supermarket and say, you are retarded and overweight and ugly and evil and a sociopath and a terrible human being, and you're a thief and a monster? Would you honestly tell a person at a supermarket this? If you do that 10 times, how many times can you do that before that person just hits you in the face and knocks your teeth out? But you do it online because you're not only a coward, the algorithms are built in a way to make you want to do that. And they're built in a way to make people excited that you did that so they can watch you do that. So in many ways, we're being puppeteered by math. And it's creating a social dynamic where we live in a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde psychology. And the problem is our brains were never designed for that. We treat both encounters psychologically, whether it's online or it's in the supermarket, the same psychologically. Even if intellectually in the frontal lobe, we think it's different, the lizard brain of the body and the hippocampus treats it the same. That's just the literature and what it says. So you have to put a stop to it. And, after the launch of Midnight, I was expecting, especially within the Cardano ecosystem, see a lot of support. And there certainly is. And there's certainly a lot of people there. But some of the things have just gotten so boring and tiring. There's also a group of people who are seriously deranged about me. And they have decided in their hearts that I am an evil person, an absolutely evil person. And they will never be convinced in any way, shape, or form otherwise. And the problem is that any engagement with them is counterproductive. They're a cult. It's a anti-Charles cult, and they collect themselves in little cabals. It used to be the fake Fred cabal, and that got disbanded. But by no means are they gone. And they have this seething passion. They've never really been able to articulate the grand scam or the grand issue. And they cite things like my credentials. They cite things like past events with Ethereum. They cite things like former employees in the organization. And every single interpretation of their fact pattern is built in a way in the worst possible interpretation. And no counterfactual information, countermanding information will break their fact pattern. They say, this man is evil, and it is my duty, my divine duty, to destroy this human being. They will follow me to any platform I go. You see them on YouTube. Just in this very video, there was a person posting. You see them on X, and whatever platform I go, those people exist there, which is why, unfortunately, I'm going to have to move to increasingly more moderated platforms. Because when they come to my YouTube channel, I can click a button and that person's gone. I can't in these other mediums. And I just don't have time for the derangement. There's no engagement with a person who's decided that you're evil, because they've already made up your mind that your only purpose in life is to harm them, manipulate them, steal from them, and cause damage to others. And I should be imprisoned or killed. You can't negotiate with that person. You can't reason with that person. There's not a difference of opinion or dialogue. They have reached a radical derangement. And you see this a lot in politics now. It's actually promoted and exacerbated and scaled out to levels we've never seen before as a species. And again, I believe it's the algorithms. Now, if any of these people spent real meaningful time with me, they'd probably start developing a different opinion. But, there's this one journalist, and I won't mention his name because he has this safe, but he interviewed me. I've only met him once, and I believe it was about 7 years ago. And I'll never forget that day, because we'd used a new media organization, and I had an interview with Yahoo News, and they said, hey, why don't you fly to New York and come on our studio? And I said, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. So we set up a media tour in New York, and I flew on out, and Yahoo said, all right, here's the time slot you're supposed to be on. I went to the studio an hour and a half early. They had me go through makeup, did the whole rigmarole. I literally flew to New York just for this interview. I was sitting in a chair, and I saw the newscasters broadcasting, and I was literally the next person up. So when they went to the commercial break, I get up out of the chair, walk 5 feet, sit down in the camera's view. It was literally where the cameras were at, and they'd put me on. Instead, they decided to actually bump me for the emerging news of some IPO. I was just like, you invited me here. I flew all the way to New York. I'm literally sitting inside the studio. I'm in a suit. I rarely wear one. You've done makeup. I had to get up at 5 a.m. to be in the studio at this particular time. I'm like 10 feet away from the newscasters, and you guys bumped me for a non-story. And I was like, what are we doing here? This is nuts. And they say, well, this happens. Maybe we'll get you back on the schedule or something. I say, okay. And so then right after that, I had lunch scheduled with the reporter. And so I go, and I was a little flustered. and I explained the story to him, and then he's spent now 7 years on a vendetta. He wrote a negative article about me, and he spent 7 years on this vendetta and uses that Yahoo bump as an example of my extreme narcissism and all these other things. It's a bizarre derangement that some people have. I don't know where these preconceived notions come from. It is not your business, my psychology. You can speculate and opine on it, but it's almost as if people just want to be right if I'm a good man or an evil man. All I want to do is build stuff, guys. At the end of the day, all I want to do is just build stuff. Is that not self-evident to you after me being here for 15 years? At some point, you just do something else if you don't want to build things. I built BitShares because I was really interested in solving the two biggest problems that I thought the cryptocurrency space had. There was a thread on Bitcoin Talk that I created back in 2013 called Project Invictus. And my thought process was that you needed to do two things to make cryptocurrencies undefeatable, after the old Invictus poem. One is, at the time, we were all worried about Mt. Gox, so we kind of needed to have decentralized exchanges. This was 2013. And two, everybody was worried about volatility. Bitcoin go way up, Bitcoin go way down. So we kind of needed to have an algorithmic stablecoin. This was before Tether or anything else. I created with Dan Larimer the first algorithmic stablecoin in the first exchange. It was called BitShares. I also created at the same time the Bitcoin Education Project and brought 70,000 people into the cryptocurrency space. And then I realized that you needed programmable transactions. So Vitalik and I and others teamed up and we created Ethereum. After that, went my own way because we all had differences of opinion. This happens in business. There's 8 founders. People are all going to go their own way. Gavin created Polkadot. I created Cardano. It's our right to do that. And I created Cardano, and Cardano's been around for 10 years, and we've done a lot of firsts. The first provably secure proof of stake, the first extended UTXO at scale, the first real use of a functional programming language with formal methods. Us and Tezos were the first two to bring that to market at scale. You know, we did all these things. And then I created Midnight because I was really interested in privacy and really interested in selective disclosure. And every step of the way, we wrote academic peer-reviewed papers, and every step of the way, we wrote code, and we told everybody what we were going to do, and we did it. And I built and built and built. And in every step, I wear my heart on my sleeve and just give the same speech again and again. If you review the transcripts of all my presentations and you put it into an LLM and you say, what are the top 10 themes and are these often said, you'll see from my TED Talk in 2014 to today in 2025, an 11-year consistency. It's hard to be a pathological liar and say the same thing for 11 years straight and do the same thing for 11 years straight. You do that because you love what you do. And you do that because you genuinely enjoy building these types of things. And you genuinely enjoy solving hard problem governance. And you've seen with the other things. And again, I wear my heart on my sleeve because I'm a passionate guy. And maybe it's because I was under-socialized as a homeschooler. Maybe it's because I had a rough go of things when I first went to college because I was 15 years old and I was way too young to be at university with the level of socialization I had. You fucking tell me. But here's the thing. All of this in, I'm happy with what I do. I love my life. I love the things that I do. I genuinely enjoy my days. There are hard days, but there's no path to do these if all it was about was ego and greed and avarice. The only way that I'm willing to get up every morning, even when I don't have to, because I have enough money for 100 lifetimes, and still work this way, to when I got food poisoning, be still willing to get on a plane and try to get to Abu Dhabi with an IV in my arm, just to deliver a speech that I don't really have to deliver if I don't want to. It's probably not going to make a big difference, is because I care and I want these things to work. And I guess the most hurtful thing about all this algorithmic stuff is that that doesn't come through, either because people just can't see it, or they choose to believe it's all some sort of elaborate act. And then they go back to a preconceived attack pattern that after years and years and years and years, doesn't it feel old? Doesn't it feel old to you? It's like at this point, hearing the attacks on Trump. I don't care if you love the man or hate the man. He's been in the public eye for so long. It's just old. Yeah, we get it. He's orange. He says weird shit. He tweets hurtful things. I've personally had to endure this year some of his insanity. You keep saying it like somehow when you say it for the 9 millionth time, it's somehow going to make a difference and we're somehow going to think about it differently. But really, are we going to? And yet these people repeat it again and 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 again. And, and it's just an exhausting thing. We all just want to move on. I think we just want to grow and we want to get to the next level as a species, as a society, and as projects. And I refuse to believe that this is the standard. And I refuse to believe that this is all we have and this is what people must endure. I endure it because I love what I do and I love building and I accept that this is just the necessary evil and the cost of doing business. But the 99.9% of people won't because they don't share that passion and they're not willing to endure this type of punishment. There's plenty of people who are willing to explore frontiers and go in covered wagons and fight the snakes and mountain lions and bears to see those beautiful mountain vistas. But nobody's going to move to live there until you build the roads and the infrastructure to keep them safe and secure and to make it easy. Our job as pioneers is to settle. We have to conquer new lands. We have to make new ideas safe. And we have to make them accessible. That's not possible to do if all we have to offer is this kind of toxicity. Doesn't do anything for anyone. So we have to find new places to host that dialogue. And to the social media companies, you've done in such a contradictory way some of the most beneficial and some of the worst damage to the human race. What you've done is you've created a reality where we, for the first time ever, get to all talk to each other, all know each other, and know everything about each other. That's never been the case in human history, ever. We would speculate and gossip, but we'd never know each other. And at the same time, you've created an incentive for us to only focus on the worst parts of each other. Think about what kind of utopia we could live in if we could focus on the best parts of each other and work together to make those best parts even better. And as the people who created these platforms continue to count their untold billions of dollars and think there's nothing wrong, they're literally investing those untold billions into artificial intelligence to propagate this to the next level and 10x it. People talk a lot about AI doomers and how AI is going to destroy society. The real death of society is to make humanity unrecognizable and the people of the future so alien to us and the culture of the future so alien that it doesn't really feel like humanity anymore. And it doesn't really feel like a world we want to live in or be in, if you think about it. So it's food for thought. Blockchain can't solve everything, but it can solve a lot of things. And one of the things it can solve, I think, is to give us different ways to talk to and collaborate with each other. And one of the things that's unfinished business for me, it's become blatantly clear, is we absolutely have to build a social network. It has to get done. We need a new media and we need a new social network, and it needs to incentivize people to collaborate instead of fight each other. The big themes of midnight are rational privacy and selective disclosure, but the third theme of the fourth generation is cooperation. And in learning how to do that and get the incentives right, I think there's a path to build a social network at scale and be able to bring millions, if not billions, of people together and give them incentives to cooperate with each other instead of destroy each other. That's something I think we need to do for humanity to get it better and to get us to the next stage. Honestly speaking, it's the only way I think we're going to get out of this. Just don't like the direction of where the world's going. It feels very hollow. And it makes me want to just retreat and not engage with people. And that's sad because at the end of the day, I love people. If any of you see me at conferences or events, the thing I enjoy, much to the chagrin of my security detail, is direct engagement. I'm always shaking hands, hugging people, asking people where they're from, who they are, and how they are, and that's because I genuinely care. It means a lot to me that people took time out of their schedule, come see me and come engage with me and have their own stories. And it's really a lot of fun to ask them, why do you like crypto and why are you here? And anything that makes a person want to withdraw and not engage, that's harmful and bad. So this algorithmic madness, it has to end. And again, you have to do it in stages. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to figure that out on X and put an end to this madness once and for all. And who knows, maybe AI Charles will be a little bit more fun and a little bit more engaging, and it'll be a better simulacra than me. And if it ever says anything wrong, I can just blame the AI. I'm like, oh, that's a Musk mecha hiller. Sorry. Those bots, those LLMs, they're very tricky. You just got to accept it. And then I'll find ways to engage with people in real mediums where there are consequences and people can be a little bit more civil. And hopefully that debugs it a little bit. I can't deprogram the anti-Charles cults. It's just not possible. And I accept that being a public figure, they're a fact of life. It's who we are as humans right now. It's what we do as humans. The key is just to make sure that they don't have any meaningful influence on our economic opportunities, the growth of the system, or they create liabilities for Cardano as a whole. One of the things you always think about as a founder is, am I becoming a liability for the ecosystems that I love? Does my presence enhance or hinder the economic opportunity of Cardano? In fact, I even asked the question last year, is Charles a cancer to Cardano, yes or no? It's hard to know because the voting on Twitter is skewed, how that poll really ended up. The majority by a slim margin said yes. A lot of people said no. The comments seemed to be mostly no, but the majority said yes, but some of those people were Ethereum people. But does that even matter? Because perhaps that limited the opportunity of Cardano. And that's something you have to think about as a founder. Am I helping or hindering the process along the way? That's why diversification and decentralization is important. And there's nothing that destroys your ego more than people saying, despite the fact that you built everything, despite the fact that you took all the risks, and frankly speaking, it wouldn't exist without you, that you now have to leave the room for the greater good of it. And you have no place or role because you're actually harming the process instead of helping the process. But everybody realizes, especially if they're a parent, that in some cases the parent shouldn't be in the room because they're actually hurting their kids' ability to grow. Governance this year, it was a lesson in all of that. There were so many fights and so many things that we had a lot of passion about at Input Output that we decided to stay out of. In many cases, not vote, say we wouldn't vote. We wouldn't be part of that process because we realized even if mistakes were made, the community had to grow and they had to be able to build the capabilities to self-govern. And it was painful because in many cases it stalled or slowed down things by months in a very competitive environment where you don't really have a lot of months to fight. And then, of course, as the big guy, I ultimately get blamed for all of that. And I'm the A in the racy, no matter what I try to do. So if the price goes down, I'm a horrible human being and I made all the mistakes. And if we didn't make a deal, it's my fault, and that's just what you sign up for, I guess, as a founder. But again, it's necessary sometimes to not be in the room. You got to let it grow. So I always ask that question. And I think that's the other advantage of this. In many cases, the Twitter, it has diminishing returns because while the engagement is fun, any misengagement, any mistake is a liability to the ecosystem as a whole. You can't live in a system where you make one mistake and it's a forever mistake. And you can't live in a system where that forever mistake is everyone in the ecosystem's problem. That's not fair to all the people who bought ADA, all the people buying Night, or these other things. So if the demand is perfection or infallibility, or the demand is deniability, then AI will handle it better, because at least you get to say it was a machine. And then you can focus on real human engagements where you can win people individually over. I think there's some truth in all of that. I would like to convey to all of you that I got your backs. As I said, I love what I do. And when I wake up every day, I try to put a lot of thought, care, and consideration into how do we make these things awesome for everybody? How do we make them usable? How do we make the experiences great? And ultimately, how do we make these things with love that perpetuates? I honestly speaking want these protocols to be beloved so people will take care of them. I don't want products. This is a product. I use it every day. And you know what? It's an S25. This time last year, it was an S24. And that time last year, it was an S23. You know what I do with the S24 and the S23? They're sitting in a drawer and I haven't thought about them. That's a product. It's important for today and it's discarded. On the other hand, things that you love, you don't discard them. You take care of them. You preserve them. You protect them. You treasure them. I care for and I love Midnight. I care for and I love Cardano. These are like my kids. And I want to build things that have that same emotional impact and draw on all of you. I want things that when you look at them and you see them, you say, I care about that. I love that. That matters to me. It's something special to me. Because then I know that 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, 100 years down the road, that it's still going to be around. They're going to find a way to make it persevere. This comes from my love of history. The things that we admire and respect in history, we remember, we treasure. The stories that we admire, respect, we tell them again and again. Hollywood's made a whole business out of telling the same 15 stories again and again. And you go to Egypt, you see these structures, some 4,000 years old, if not longer. Then people pay to go and see them. We treasure the things we love. We protect them. And I don't want products. I want Midnight and I want Cardano to be here forever. And I want all the time and effort that we all put together to be meaningful. So in addition to putting the experience in, the UX in, do understand that not just me, but the team at Input Output, all of our engineers, all of our scientists, this is not a job for the vast majority of them. It's too hard to be just a job for the vast majority of them. It's a passion too. And they love the fact that they've built something with an exotic technology and actually works. They've built something with new protocols and they built something that looks at the world a little differently, and they're able to protect it and treasure it, let it grow, thrive, and all the things we said were going to happen happened. That's pretty magical when you see all of that. That's another reason why we get a little defensive, because what do you do when people attack your loved ones? What do you do when people try to destroy the things that you love and care for? If it was just a phone, guys, Does it really matter if I lose it, it gets damaged? You just go buy another one and you transfer your data. It's a fungible good. You're annoyed over the fact of the inconvenience and the lost money. But at the end of the day, we all know how the story ends. It's going to end up in a box when the new one comes out. But when it's something you love and it's destroyed, you can't replace it. All of that effort that went into it is gone. So there's an enormously high level of passion for the architects, for the engineers, and for all the other people. That's another reason why I love what I do, because I get to work with people that have souls, that care, that actually put in the work, and they have craftsmanship. That's special. Have you ever worked with somebody who legitimately loves their job and how infectious that is? And have you ever worked with somebody who gets to build beautiful things and how infectious it is? Just listen to them talk about that. Doesn't matter if they're a ramen chef. It doesn't matter if they're a cobbler or a cooper or whatever the hell the job is. The fact that they love what they build is a pretty amazing thing when you think about it. So it's the same for me. Anyway, every day is an opportunity to be better, and I figure I just opine on all this. Thank you for making today a good day, and thank you for all the well-wishing. And I understand the other side of it, and I understand where people are coming from, and I understand how we make things move forward. We'll see more people in the Discord, and and next year will be a different year, and it'll be a nice reset. And I'm looking forward to doing things in a new way, and I'm looking for a new way of engaging. And I'll still do the live streams. I'm going to try to do them in a more structured way. I'm going to probably start having some moderation in the comments and probably a person with me, and I'll try to announce a time slot instead of doing surprise AMAs, do them with some degree of regularity. I'm going to try to funnel as much traffic into the Discord because we want to build that population up. So probably I'll do a relay, or if you want to engage, you have to be in the Discord and you can just watch from these types of channels. But we'll still figure all those techniques out. I'm pulling the social media team together for that. And I got a nice studio over there that I'm supposed to set up, and I just haven't gotten around to it. And I got another studio up in Gillette that has the same thing. And we're supposed to build one in the office, but we didn't finish it yet because it's been busy. We've been busy. Traveling 260 plus days a year does that to you. But that's a priority for Q1. And obviously a lot more moderation for all these things. And I am sorry if it makes me a little bit more distant and there's a little less engagement. But do know the delta in terms of time and engagement is just going to be spent building Midnight and Cardano and RealFi and other things. And do know I'm still going to be going to some of the conferences. I'm going to try to at least do the big four. And I'll make time always for the community because you guys matter. And I'll make time to talk to people. And I'll try to find efforts to talk to smaller groups from time to time. But less engagement, obviously, on Twitter because I just simply won't be there. If you get a reply, it's from a robot. It's not from me. Now, if you reply back, robot will aggregate everything together, give me sentiment storing and top 10 comments and these types of things. But it's just going to filter out all the junk, from here on out. So I still will be able to read a lot of your well wishes. So it's not a wasted endeavor. It's a different medium. And unfortunately, that's just where we're at because I just don't want to swim in the shit river anymore. And I've been bitten by too many shit hippos. And honestly speaking, there's no value anymore to it. There's no fun anymore into it. And I have better things to do in life and better things to build. So thanks for listening to my midnight rant. And if you haven't checked it out, midnight.network, definitely go there. It's pretty cool. Join the Discord, become an ambassador. I'm going to keep saying it for 90 days. And I'll see everybody in Hong Kong at Consensus if you have a chance to make it there. If not, there's the Japan tour. I'll be in Hokkaido all the way down to Okinawa. We're getting all the dates set up in time, but it'll be before Hong Kong. Lots of announcements, lots of cool things Japan liquidity hasn't even opened yet in markets, so that's going to be very fun. And I'm glad to see that we had a win this year. We really needed one for the ecosystem as a whole. So I look forward to 2026. It's dawn of Hydra. You got Laos. You got Starstream. Now that Midnight's out, just going to get better and better. You got RealFi. And we have to finally do that banked unbanked. It's all coming together. The whole Cardano vision. It's finally all the pieces are fitting together. We finally have the foundation we need to change the world. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. Thanks, everyone.